Hey, this is another vlog about the human condition that nobody wants to hear, but when we don't talk about this and when we're not outraged and shocked, including of our own participation in this, then the world gets worse for our kids and future generations. So, it's weird. I'm listening to CBC because today is Indigenous Veterans Day in Canada. The interviewer was awesome, talking to somebody there, and here I'm listening to a guy that wrote a book, and he's been writing for quite a long time about the Israeli-Palestine conflicts. And he's saying that, yeah, it's a good time for the book to come out, and his friends would be curious to see what happens because there's more people now wanting to know after all this time, because it used to be in the news, there's this explosion, whatever, but there's always violence there, and we all belong to countries that kind of know about it and don't do anything about it. But now more and more people are finding out. And I've been talking about Canadian patterns being hypocrisy and laissez-faire. But I've been interacting with more and more First Nations communities who have these patterns as well. So now, what came first, the chicken or the egg, as I'm wondering? Because, for example, there is a big correlation of Palestinians living on reservations, okay, without even abilities to grow food, for example, in ways that First Nations do here in Canada. So, that how many kids die and what the average age or lifespan is there, it's pretty bad. And it's been going on for decades, and now it's more in the news. So I wonder, are the First Nations Facebook groups talking about this? And are they, out there protesting the Canadian government for not doing enough and for just, being hypocrites and laissez-faire? And I don't think I'm seeing it. I don't think I'm seeing these patterns in the news or these similarities. And it's the same thing once when I drove a group back from, I think, the pool and maybe AA meeting when I worked for a First Nations treatment center, as I was asking, hey, who saw the Avatar movie? And a lot of them did, and I asked what they thought about it, and nobody saw the link between, what happened to them when Europeans came and what happens in the movie Avatar. So I don't know. This is very confusing. There is a way to find out what levels of hypocrisy or laissez-faire exist, and there's an idea I have that I might implement soon to test it. But what if maybe laissez-faire and hypocrisy was more here before the Europeans came, and maybe it was passed? I don't know. I'm just saying this to be a little bit outrageous, but the thing is it's common everywhere, and I just name it in our culture here in Canada because it's something you can pretty much expect. When there is a way to decide, hey, how do I evaluate how politicians will respond or the general population will respond? Because we might want to point the finger at politicians, but they're there because we put them there, and they act like this for so long because we have hypocrisy and laissez-faire as a culture, right? They are not. I've never heard anybody say there's no suitable candidates for elections in Canada. I'm the only one saying it. So, the paradigms I operate in are the kind that nobody wants to have conversations about. Hence, the lack of views and comments on my YouTube channel, for example. So I'm pretty disappointed that to help their own healing, First Nations community members are not protesting for the rights of Palestinians to not be occupied anymore after so many decades, including at the silence of politicians in Canada who supposedly gave apologies to First Nations people while they're quite aware that they are bystanders to that happening still for decades in Gaza, for example.